anybody got any questions before we start?
So today we have to do the interview?
Tonight's the interview due date, yes. And so you'll need to upload it to Buzz. So you can do it as a PDF or you can do it as a Word doc. Some of the other formats don't show up. So if you upload something and I can't read it, I'll give you a chance to resubmit it without loss of penalty. But usually PDF and Word, and I don't know, sometimes it's weird on what formats work and what don't. So, but usually Google Docs does not play nice. So I'll tell you that. Usually Google stuff, for whatever reason, doesn't. I can't read it. Okay, anything else? Yeah.
Do we have classes on Monday?
Oh yeah, class. No, we do not have class Monday. You guys have been working so hard this week already. So yes, no class Monday for MLK. I think the university usually does some special activities or something, but as far as I know, we don't have class meetings on Monday. Yep.
So that we only have to do the interview. We don't have to answer the fill in the blanks yet. Or...
The fill in the blanks and stuff is due Sunday.
Okay.
So yeah, let me just kind of wait until you guys had some of your system, and I might even wait until tomorrow. Maybe you can do that again. You guys can kind of see the format, but I want to make sure everybody's in and stuff. But there's everything you see that's due Sunday. It's like the fill in the blank for the e-text videos, which you can be doing as you're going along. So it's not all intended that you should start this on Sunday, by the way. But nonetheless, the fill in the blank, the quiz, and the homework. So there's usually that's going to be kind of our rhythm for each chapter. Those will be the same set of things that's due on the due date. And it won't always be Sunday. We've got 12 chapters in 8 weeks, so we'll have a few that'll be midweek as well. So make sure you're staying on top of stuff. This isn't like the normal 16-week classes where you can kind of, we don't have to do anything for 2 weeks and not worry about it. Well, 2 weeks is a fourth of this class, so don't do that. You need to be right on top of it right away this first week. So, okay, anything else? All right, what is baby step number 1? All right, $1,000 emergency fund. Okay, now why do we have that as the very first thing when you're seeking to pull yourself out of financial ruin because you have so much debt? Why do we have a $1,000 emergency fund as the very first step to have actual cash, even if you're sitting with $75,000 of car, student loan, and credit card debt? Why do we have the first step be save $1,000 and have it available? David?
Because if we come into crisis, it'll be easy to dip into that and do something like that.
Okay, good. Because it's a little discouraging. First of all, our emergency is going to happen. Yes, they're absolute. That's the only thing we know is we know they're going to happen. We don't know the timing. We don't know the amount. We don't know the extent of the damages. But we definitely know they're going to happen. They happen to everybody. Some people more than others, but it's going to happen. So we have that there so that you're not trying to work your way out of $75,000 worth of debt. And the first little flat tire that comes along is like, oh, I got to use this credit card. I got to go more into debt, right? It's a little discouraging that way. So it's the first step of really empowering yourself to be having a cash mindset rather than a borrowing mindset. Like when stuff happens to me, I'm going to be paying with my own funds that I have saved. Okay, so let's jump into our first video section here for today. First for today, it's our third of, I think there's 4 for chapter 1. And we'll probably be finishing up chapter 1 today, by the way.
Let's get moving.
All right, look at the discussion question. Try using the overhead camera here. All right. This works. There we go. Not too bad. Okay. So, how is saving an exercise of your character? Saving of your character, emotion, content. Saving an exercise of that stuff. Raven, give me a number between 3 and 8. 2, 3, 4, 5. Your name is Alyssa. What do you think? How is saving the exercise of your character? Or emotion or contentment. You can use any of those three, so whatever comes to mind. Okay. All right, definitely. So he talked about the rewards of it later, coming later, right? And so what was the point of it, kind of highlighting that it comes later? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So it doesn't feel good in the moment, right? To save, because we want that stuff now, and so it's really kind of training yourself to learn the long-term benefits of it. And you can still have stuff in the moment too, of course. There's plenty to go in the moment. We just don't want it all being in the moment, so that there's no thought of moving forward. Okay, so why don't people save for the future? Let me go back to my random number generator here. And so laptop users, you need to sit in the front half of the class. So I won't have you move today, but if you're going to use your laptop, front half of the class. And then a little reminder, phones have to be in the backpack, turned off, not on the desk. I'll start taking away points later on that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Your name? Brady, that's right. So Brady, why don't people save for the future? You know, we mentioned some of them, it kind of hurts. It hurts now is one of them, but why don't they save, and how can we start to fix that?
I mean, a lot of people just have to spend money.
Okay. So why are they spending it when they get it? I mean, we talked about it being fun to spend, right? I think we all, to at least some extent, have that feeling. But what's another reason besides the fun of it that we don't save more for the future, that we're not a little more long-term oriented?
Instant gratification.
Okay, instant gratification. Anybody else want to add on? Is it easy to understand the happiness that the future thing is going to bring you in 5 years, 10 years? Which one has a better fix on your happiness? The thing that you're going to get today, or the thing that you're going to get 5 years from now? Is it easy to imagine the happiness that you're going to get? Not really, right? Not at all, in fact, I think. I mean, even me, like, I really enjoy travel. I just got back from Cancun, and my wife's in Guatemala right now, and so, you know, that brings lots of happiness, and so I want to plan for the future to have a future trip, because I know that that'll be fun in the future, but I can't quite grasp that funness, that happiness in the same way that it's going to be 5 years from now. So that's much more difficult to do, right? So it really is something that you kind of have to work on, because it's not going to be our nature for that to be very easy to do. Okay, so pull out a piece of paper. This is going to be your in-class points today. I'm going to turn to the, oh, wait, before I do that, sorry, I did want to do Ben and Arthur. They said in the video, this is something we have to do. So in your workbooks here, this is on page 21, if you had a physical copy with you, which I recommend again that you all get a physical copy. I will be happy to give you the copy if you, so that you can make a photocopy of it if you'd like. So Ben and Arthur, what was the general gist of it? Who did the savings and when? What was the timing? The two brothers, Josh?
Ben started on 19 and Arthur started at 27, saving $2,000 at a time.
Okay, so the moral of the story was the timing of the start and how long they did it. So we only have 8 years worth of $2,000 a year for Ben, and then we've got 2,000 starting 8 years later for the rest of their life. And at the end of the day, once they reach age 65, Arthur never catches up. And in fact, there's a significant lead here, even though he stopped investing. So that's a pretty powerful chart on starting early. It actually motivated my son when I showed him this to start when he was age 15. And I'll share with you some of the stuff that he's been investing in and how that's performed over time. But if you start now, even if it's just a little bit, it can turn into a large sum starting early and having a plan, overcoming some of these urges of, I got to have it now, I got to have it now. What's the future? I'll make more money in the future, or whatever, right? Just a little bit, even $100 a month, as he was saying, could end up turning into a fairly large sum. All right, so we're going to do some tables here after the next video to kind of show you, get you comfortable with these tools on how do you calculate those numbers. We're just going to be using apps and stuff, so it's pretty easy. But we really want to embrace the power of that. Has anybody got any questions here on this chart? Everybody got it memorized? Since he said every high school and college student should get an appreciation for that. All right. So now on to the case study. So pull out a piece of paper, pen and paper. We've got, let's see. Yeah, we're going to do Jeremy and the student loan debt. This new camera is a little bit, let me see if I can blow it up a little bit more. Not quite as slick as the other one. There we go. Okay, that's not too bad. So Jeremy graduated from college 2 years ago with a degree in communications. He has a good job as a communications specialist, making $50,000 a year. Because he took a basic financial class during his sophomore year of college, he understands the importance of creating a plan for his money. So he made a priority to start saving. And he currently has a savings account of $5,000 built up. He's motivated to continue putting money away for the future. However, he has $6,500 in student loans left to pay. He's already paid off $8,500 since finishing college. Pretty good. Just like with his savings, he's being aggressive and paying more than the minimum payments each month. Jeremy plans to be debt-free in 15 months. So, question, should he continue to pay the extra on the student loan and get it paid off in his desired time? If he does this, he plans to continue contributing to his savings account at the same time. And then 1 and 2 kind of go together. Or, so I kind of want you to choose, or should he stop putting money into a savings account and put all of his extra cash towards the student loan? So I want you to kind of answer 1 and 2 together, thinking about what you'd recommend he should do. He's doing pretty good, right? I mean, in general, $50,000 a year, $5,000 of savings, $6,500 school loans. So make a recommendation for Jeremy. I'll give you a few minutes here to work on that. Make sure your first name, last name, you will be turning these in. Class. All right, so what do you think here? Should he stop or go? Let's see, we're going to go back up to, well, let's see. I guess I'm reversing. Will that work? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. Daily. What's your answer here?
I think we should continue the larger payments in order to then take the stress off.
Okay.
So you can continue to start building up.
So good for him to continue what he was already doing with this plan for being done in 15 months. Is that kind of the gist of it? Okay. Anybody else? Let me just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Taylor.
Yeah, I think he should continue doing what he's doing, and if obviously is making extra money, kind of answer a little bit.
Okay.
I think he should continue doing what he's doing because his plan is comfortable with.
So you kind of agree with David.
Yeah.
Got it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
I also thought that we should keep putting money in savings
Okay.
and going at the long. And I just also wrote that I feel like he has enough money in his savings that he can go harder
Okay.
on the loan, but
Okay.
I agree with him.
All right. So did anybody have anything different than that? Raven?
I then you should, just probably should have on completely, with all of it, and get paid off sooner.
What do you mean attack it with all of it?
When you're getting paid for the savings account as well, we put for student loans and stuff, it. And he's completely out of debt.
Okay, so no more towards savings. Is that what you're saying? If he was, whatever, and
If you want the student loans, you're not paying for it, but if it was paying for student loans, I will just hand out the savings, both of the savings and build out the savings.
okay. It's a little bit stronger than what they were, so that it's accelerating. But otherwise, keep the 5,000 where it is. Yeah. Anybody else have anything different? All right, so none of what you guys said is Dave Ramsey recommended. How big should the emergency fund be for Jeremy? 1,000. So, what would Dave Ramsey recommend? Yeah, Connor? Okay, so tell me exactly now. He's got 5,000 sitting in an account following the Dave Ramsey program. That's it. 4,000. So what's baby step number 2? Pay off all debt. So now we start to see how this is kind of a game plan here, and then ultimately we're going to go 3 to 6 months of expenses for your new emergency fund. So if we start to see this as a plan, then we can look at Jeremy's situation and say, hey, I got a better idea. Let's kill off that student loan debt maybe in 3 months or something. He could probably do it pretty fast, right? Check it out. He's got 6,500 in student loans. So if he puts 4,000 to it, he's down to 2,500. And the way he's been going hard at it, he might be able to knock it out in 5 to 6 months, depending on, we don't know with these case studies exactly how much leftover money he has, but if he's being really aggressive with it, maybe in 3 to 6 months, he's got the whole student loan behind him, right? 3 months isn't very long at all, right? We're talking the length of a term, like spring semester or fall semester, whatever. So before you know it, he is debt-free, and then he starts moving on to bumping up his emergency fund to this level. And you just start progressing through the system. So why don't you guys correct your own papers now? And just at the bottom, you can kind of cross off something if you want to, but basically pay 4,000 in the student loans, leaving 1,000 as your emergency fund. Baby step number 1. Just write that down on your papers, and that'll be probably good enough, because the rest of what you said is fine. Keep making payments higher than the minimum, maybe towards what he's going to do. But so we want to kind of start to get that under our belts. Now, is that going to be a comfortable thing for Jeremy to do, to just sign off 4,000 out of that $5,000 account? Do you think that's going to feel comfortable, easy thing? No, it's not at all. He's feeling the comfort of a big, soft pillow of cash. $5,000 feels really secure, right? And so that's not going to be easy to do it, but the trade-off then is he's going to be out of debt in no time, right? It's going to be gone. So believe me, I've done that step before where you've put a big chunk of money and just paid it off. And it's a little unnerving because it does feel good. And that's exactly where we want to get you to, is baby step number 3. He's back to feeling good again, right? $50,000 a year, if he's mostly spending a lot of that 50, how much is 3 months of his expenses? Kind of the minimum level for Jeremy here. How much is 3 months? If he's, let's just assume he's mostly spending that 50. So we got 3 to 6 months of expenses, monthly income. That one's kind of a tough one. Who's got a calculator out? 50,000 divided by 12. calculator. How much? No, 50,000 divided by 12, it's gonna be more, what? $4,166. So 3 to 6 months of expenses is gonna be how much in this bank account? 3 months worth? Approximately 12,000 or so, let's just say. You know, it's 3 to 6 months, so it's kind of nice to just take if you take your annual income and divide it by 12, and that's kind of the minimum area you probably want to be. So he'd be at approximately $12,000 sitting in an account. So is that feeling that he has now going to be restored fairly quickly, right? So his 15-month plan will actually look a little bit different. He'll kind of have that savings account up, the debt will be gone. He'll feel real secure without having that extra debt payment. And of course, the debt payment that he was making towards the student loans now can go to build up that emergency fund even faster. So it all kind of works out, but it does take a little bit of a leap of faith to overcome, but that's exactly the place, that comfort level is where we're going with it fairly quickly after the debts are paid off. Okay, any other questions or comments there? All right, let's watch the last section here, chapter 1. All right, so discussion question number 1 here. Why do people feel pressured to spend money they don't have? Why do people feel pressured to spend money they don't have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Reese. Man. Why do people feel pressured to spend money they don't have? Huh? Take time, take deep breath. This is a question, this is an open-ended question. There are no wrong answers. So, people feel pressured to spend money. Why? Why would people feel pressured to spend money? You're ever out with your buddies or something, or friends, or you feel that pressure, or you think they feel that pressure? Okay, yeah, just not having money, right? It's not always cool to be poor, or maybe people have the perception that you at least are living comfortably, and maybe you're not, right? So you feel pressured, you don't really even want to spend that $20 on going out to eat and a drink or something, but you feel pressured to because you want to fit in, right? So that's reasonable. Anybody else have another one they want to add to that on feeling pressured to spend money? Josh?
I feel like if all your friends are getting new clothes and new shoes, and
Okay.
you still wear raggedy kind of things, you would kind of want to fit in with your friends.
Yeah, to just fit in with your peer group and so that you don't look different or whatever if they're staying up on clothing and other things. So I think that pressure can also, or one of the things that we're going to do is they don't know the money they don't have. Right? So a lot of people really don't have a good fix on how much money they have or don't have. And so if you're using the credit card to buy, you don't know that you don't have the money to pay it off next month. And that's when you can start to fall into that trap of, well, I'll pay that interest for just this 1 month and then I'll make it up next month, right? So you really don't have the knowledge of how much money you might have or not have is the other big thing. So, all right, so we're going to do a little present value calculation. So I'm going to start you off with a little math. So on your sheets that you'll be turning in, I want you to kind of track with me. This is probably the most math equation we'll do the whole semester for the most part. It's not going to be super heavy. And I think hopefully you'll find it enlightening. So if you have $100 and you invest it for 1 year at 10%, how much do you have next year? Don't write that down. We're going to walk through this together. Just kind of listen to what I'm saying. You got $100, you invested at 10% interest. How much do you have next year? 110, right? So we've got $100. Now you can write this down. What I write on the board, you guys can write down. So we got $100. And what you guys kind of did in your head is this equation. You kind of did 1 plus 10%. Notice we got 100 times 1 is 100. 100 times 10% is the 10. 100 plus 10 equal the 110 that you were talking about, right? Everybody cool with that so far? So that's kind of our simple interest calculation. And now if you let it ride another year, if you let the 110 ride another year and you get 10%, how much do you have at the end of that second year? Not 2, so we only have 110. So we're going to let that ride at 10% for one more year. How much do I have at the end? 121. 121. So 10% of 110, right, gets us back the $11. Add the $11. So let's write it down on our paper what's going on again. So we're going to take the 110 this time times the 1 plus 10%. We're actually doing the exact same calculation. So 110 I still have, that was my money with the interest, of course, from the previous year, plus 10% of 110, which is 11, equals 121. So I have $121. Okay, so what we're looking at here is what we call compound interest. So this is the lesson that was in that little pre-quiz that we did too. We're getting interest on interest. Do you see that in this calculation? Where am I getting interest on my interest? I started off with my money of 100. But eventually I get to a point where I'm getting interest on my interest. Where is the interest on interest in this second line here? Josh?
Would it be the 110, that extra 10%?
With that extra 10%. So it's the 10% on the $10 that I earned up here, right? That's what gave me the extra $1. So only the $1, it's kind of tiny at the beginning, but I did get paid interest on previous interest. That's the idea of compound interest that we're going to put into play that is kind of key here. All right, so let's put a little note on your papers. Note, I got interest on my interest in year 2. 10% of $10 from the previous year. This is called compound interest. Compound interest. Okay, now I want to take you to the next level of mathematical beauty here. So stay with me. I'm not trying to be too scary here. But does everybody agree that this sucker is this sucker? Does everybody agree with that? And does everybody agree that this sucker is equal to this sucker? Yes? So let's put this sucker in for that sucker. Here we go. 100 times 1 plus 10%. Sorry, I'm just going to put the up here. 1 plus 10%. That's this sucker, by the way, right here. That's the first part, the first chunk. Times this part. 1 plus 10%. Equals 121. Everybody with me on that step? Make sure you're writing this down on your paper. You're turning it in for points. Okay, now those of you who are maybe mathematically inclined, how can I make this expression a little simpler? How can I simplify this thing? to the second power, right? So this is like x. 100x times x, so it's like x squared. So 100 times 1 plus 10% squared equals 121. And you guys have just derived the most powerful formula of finance. This is the present value formula, present value, future value. The present value was the $100 that I'm holding in my hand today, times 1 plus the interest rate, whatever amount of earnings you're getting on your investment, raised to the number of years that you're allowing it to compound, which could be, by the way, 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, right? So n is the number of years equals the future value. All right, so that's it. And then we also want to be thinking about bringing future dollars backwards. We don't do that in this class as much, but since I brought you to this point, I can't resist telling you that we can do a little algebra and move this sucker over here. So if you ever have a buddy say, hey, I got this investment, it's going to pay off $500 for the next 4 years, and then you're going to get $5 grand at the end, buddy. Right? Sound like a good deal? It's only going to cost you $3 grand today. Should you do it? Maybe. How do you analyze something like that? Well, you want to take the present value of your buddy's deal. So we're going to take the present value and the value of the money of the future value of what he's paying you is simply this. So now we just put that over to the other side, and this is the present value formula. So you can go back in time, forward in time, back in time, forward in time. Bring money in the future back to present day, or take today's money and put it into the future. You can go backwards and forwards over the course of time with this formula. All right, so that is the present value formula. Questions or comments there? That's about as worse as it's going to get. I might add one. Nobody has? Oh wait, I was going to do it on here. Let me show you your books so that you're not confused. If again, there's not too much that we do on this. Remember, at most, this class is 20% finance and 80% behavior. Just so you see, a lot of times we do monthly payments, right? And so, oops, let's see. Oh, this is not the right one, sorry. This one. Right there. Just there's an easy way to get this thing blown up. Right there. That's what's in your book. So future value, that's the 121. The present value was the 100. But now look at what it's got. It's got 1 plus r over m and m to the t. So all they did is they made it monthly. So that means you need to do a monthly interest rate. So if it was 10% divided by 12 months, it gives you a monthly interest rate. Right? So that formula I gave you is the annual form. This is just raising it to the number of months. So more likely you'd have monthly payments of 60 monthly payments for a loan or something, or an investment that's going to be coming in months. Then you'd raise it to the 60 power. Okay? So just wanted to point that out. Again, it's almost like if you blank that out of your head for the rest of the course, you probably could still get an A. So don't freak out that, oh, Russ hit the math today. No, I said, this is just, we got to get this under our belt so that we have an appreciation then for some of these other tools that we're going to do. So some of the other tools is in the foundations used. So this is the one that I have on your syllabus. And I want to walk through how we're going to use it, and I want to put it on your papers too. So the college rendition, and then there's this tools. So they got these financial tools up here. And one of them is the investing calculator. So you click investing calculator, and it brings you to this page. And so let's say we start with nothing, and we invest our at 10% rate of return, and we contribute monthly $100, and we do that for 2 years. So now we were doing it monthly, remember, for 2 years. So we've got $2,000 after 2 years of putting $100 away. Somewhat depressing. What if we did it for 20 years? $76,000. So now I want you to write this on your papers. Put 10% interest equals 10%. I equals 10% if you want. Investing $100 per month. For 20 years. So we got interest equals 10%, $100 per month invested. And then I want you to do kind of a little bit of a chart here. 20 years equals 76,569. You don't have to put the pennies on there. 76,569. Now, if I double it to 40 years, what would you estimate roughly it's going to be? 150,000 if I double it to 40 years, go from 20 years to 40 years, 76,000 to, see some head shaking. Caleb, why are you shaking your head? All right, the interest on interest is going to kick in. This might, good thing everybody's sitting down here. 637,000. So go ahead and put 40 years, $637,000. All right, so we may not be a millionaire then at this point. That was still with just this little $100 a month. But what if we made it 150? $50 more a month. Could we squeak out $50 a month? How much do we spend in Starbucks? Don't answer that. 956,000, right? So $50. So now put on your papers, $50 more per month. 50 more gets you 956. Now, how many people do you know regularly carry at least a $200 a month car payment? How many people do you know people have $200 a month car payments? Do we have car payments with the Dave Ramsey system, by the way? No, we're doing this instead. And so if we have $200 going, we're at 1.275. This calculator is just doing what I just did with you on the board, the compound interest thing. That's all it's doing. It just has all of the numbers there. It's all part of the numbers. 1.275 million. Oh, that's right. This is. So I can't remember if it keeps it up with this. This calculator is not working the way it used to. Where I can show you the tab. I got another one that we'll do later. So you can get there, and it doesn't take a ton of money. And we're going to talk about in the class where you can expect to reasonably earn a 10% rate of return on your money. But you got to set yourself up in a financial position that you're not having to dip in it for every whoopsie. And that's where baby step number 3 comes in. All right, we'll pick up there tomorrow.